Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm your entrepreneurship tutor, Professor Henry Buisa of Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. Today, I want to talk about the logical framework, the log frame. But first things first, what is a logical framework? This is a 4x4 matrix outlining key features that lead to a project achieving its goal. It is a tool for improving the planning, implementation, management, monitoring, and evaluation of projects. Now, project management deals directly with planning projects. Entrepreneurship deals with planning new businesses. Technology and innovation deals with the designing new innovations. Marketing deals with designing new marketing programs. All these, they can utilize the log frame tool. That is the log frame tool. If it is not clear, then wait, I'm going to make it clear in a while. The log frame, the logical framework. There it is. 4x4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the outline of a logical framework, with the first column reading the goal of the project, the purpose or outcomes of the project, results or outputs of the project, and the activities of the project. We write them here, what we call the project summary narrative. Then there is the objectively verified indicators, means of verification, and the key risks or assumption. So, in Logframe or logical framework, there are 4 key questions that we ask. The first one that relates to the goal, purpose, the first column, are what are we trying to accomplish and why? The second question will be, how will we measure success of that which we want to accomplish? And the third question is, what other conditions must exist for us to accomplish this? And the last question is, how do we get there? Or even more directly, how shall we know we are getting there, we're on track? So these are 4 basic questions for any project or a logical framework of a project. So, what are we trying to accomplish? That question. You see, every project, every business, every innovation, marketing program has a goal. The overall objective of coming up with anything new, whether it's a project in project management, an innovation in technology and innovation, a new business, new product line in entrepreneurship, a new brand or a new advertising method in marketing must be a goal. The goal is the long-term change to which the action will contribute, whether at country level, regional level, sector level, indeed even at your individual level. And the purpose, that's now the specific objective. That's like the medium-term changes in the behavior of the target groups and control of beneficiaries. And then the outputs, which are the goods, services directly delivered by the project under control of project. And the activities, these are what the project does to produce the results, how resources are utilized, which resources are utilized. So that is what we want to accomplish: the goal, the purpose, the output, and the activities. Look, out you can see now an outline of the log frame, and we are asking, what are we trying to accomplish? So we want now to feel, to construct our logical framework. Out there, that is the first cell. That is the goal. It is the overall or ultimate objective that is to be achieved by the project. For example, a farmer may wish to undertake a project whose goal is to increase farm family income. This goal may partially be achieved through a project with the purpose of increasing farm production. What it means is that if farm production is increased, then farm family income will be increased. You see, the goal, increasing farm family income, will be achieved through other or another activity. And hence, if then, if this happens, then this will happen. You are seeing a cause and effect paradigm here. This leads to this. So the first cell of the matrix, the log frame, is the goal. We move on now to the second cell, which is the purpose. Still, what are we trying to accomplish? So that number 2, out there, the purpose, sometimes called the outcome or even the impact. So it is the expected change, the expected impact that the outputs will bring. Final project achievement or ultimate project reason. It describes the change that the outputs of the project will bring. Thus, the purpose often describes a change in the behavior of the project beneficiaries. For example, for the farmer's goal of increasing farm family income, the purpose would be to increase farm production. And then we say, if the planned outputs are achieved, then the purpose will be achieved. Remember, we said if the purpose is achieved, then the goal will be achieved. But going a step below, if the outputs are achieved, then the purpose will be achieved. Still, on what are we trying to accomplish? We now come to the third cell of the narrative, the results, the outputs. Outputs are the tangible deliverables expected from or created as a consequence of the project's activities. The outputs lead to the achievement of the project's purpose, leading to the phrase, if outputs are achieved, then the purpose or the outcome will be achieved. For example, if the purpose is to increase farm production, then the output could be richer organic fertilizer. So, if we can get richer organic fertilizer, then the output will be achieved. So again, the if then. And now we come to the last cell of the first column of the logical framework, still answering what are we trying to accomplish. These are the activities. Activities are actions of using inputs like labor, knowledge, equipment, raw materials, etc. to create outputs. A breakdown analysis in project management of the project, or an activity chart, or a bar chart, or a Gantt chart would be helpful in listing the activities. So if the listed activities are undertaken, then the outputs will be generated. So we have finished what we're trying to accomplish by looking at what we are now calling a whole logic from goal, purpose, results, and activities. Now, the goal and purpose are usually one, but outputs and activities can be multiple. There it is. We have the goal, the purpose, but this purpose can be achieved by a number of outputs. So we can have output 1, output 2. But the output can also be achieved by several activities. So, almost like a tree with many root causes that lead to the ultimate goal. Now, we've been saying if and then. This is a sequence, I've seen it. The if and then sequence running from activities to the goal, which is based on the concept of cause and effect from the vertical logic of the Logframe, or the logical framework's structure. If something occurs or is achieved, then something else will result. There it is. We call this the vertical logic. So the first column of a logical framework, from activities, outputs, outcomes, and goal, form what we call the logical vertical logic. Look at it. If adequate resources or inputs are provided, then the activities can be conducted. If the activities are conducted, then outputs can be produced. If outputs are produced, then outcomes will occur. And if the outcomes occur, then this should contribute to the goal. That what if means that it could or could not. We are planning today for what we're going to do tomorrow. Things can change, uncertainty can occur, and therefore we are making some assumptions that things will not change to the worse, and that's important in logical framework, in project management. So we now come to how we will measure success. Second question. And you see we have now moved to the second column. This second column is what we're calling objectively verifiable indicators. There it is. So the objectively verifiable indicators, or OVI, it is important to monitor and evaluate the progress of the goal, outcome, output, activity via indicators or information that tells you something about the project state. Indicators define in measurable detail the performance levels required by the goal, purpose, output, and activities, and they also tell us the necessary accomplishment plus the sufficient performance of reaching the next level of objectives. In other words, as we undertake activities, what will indicate that we are doing it, that we are achieving results? As we look at the outputs, we get the output. What shall we measure? Shall we use to measure, to indicate that things are working? And that's what we call objectively verifiable indicators. Then we move on to the third column. This is means of verification. And there it is. The means of verification, the MOV describe the sources of information that will demonstrate what has been accomplished, or the source of the OVIs. Sometimes the information is available from external sources, such as government statistics, consultants, and so on. Often, you will have to find the information yourself through questionnaires, observations, etc., etc. If, for example, your objective is farmer income raised by X% in 20 something, you might need a survey. You might go to the farms to see whether that has happened or not. And therefore, as we plan for such planned projects, we must cost activities such as those ones. Now we go to the last column. What other conditions must exist? What other conditions must exist? Those are the assumptions or risks. A risk is defined as an uncertain threat that, in case of occurring, could have a negative impact in the completion of the goal or activity. But an assumption, on the other hand, or on the other side, is the necessary condition that will enable the successful completion of the goal or activity. So, like we said, we're planning today to work, to do things tomorrow. There could be a risk. For the farmer, there could be drought, or there could be excess rain. The assumption is that the weather will remain favorable, but there could be a risk that the weather could be unfavorable. So, as we plan our activities, we must put that in consideration. And when we do that, then we already think of plan B, if you like. Should they happen? Should the risk occur? What could we do? And that's what I call plan B. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes there may be even the plan B will not rescue. But it's good to think through, to say what are the possible risks and mitigate or prepare for them. So that is the last column of our log frame. Still on assumptions, still on the if and then reasoning. It means that there is always the possibility of other factors breaking the links that we are saying if, then, if, then. These factors are called uncertainty factors, which may affect the link between each level of objectives. They may be external factors beyond the control of the project team, such as natural conditions, or like I've said, lack of or too much rain in agricultural projects, human factors like worker strikes, or untimely release of budget, all those are what we're saying. We need to hold them constant. Like for example, the inputs have their own assumptions. Like we are saying, we are hoping, we are assuming that inputs like, let's say, money, the budget, equipment will be released in time. So if that assumption is correct, the input plus this assumption that money will be released in time will equal to activities. Activities are like undertaken by human beings. So we are assuming that all of them will be healthy. No disease will come and strike some of our workers. So these activities, assuming that our workers will all be healthy, they will lead to outputs. You see? And output, you know, there's also assumption. If there are those outputs, probably we are assuming that the output will be well stored to be used tomorrow. They will not be stolen. No, there will be no fire outbreak to destroy them. So those outputs that have been produced, if they stay intact, then we shall get outcomes. The outputs could be trainees, students graduating. So if all those graduate and they get employed, then the outcome, the working economy will be achieved. And if that working economy is achieved, then the goal of, let's say, raising GDP will be achieved. So those are the three questions. Now, the last question is, how do we know we are getting there? That tells us that we must monitor and evaluate. Monitoring and evaluation, often abbreviated M&E, is a combination of data collection and analysis, that's monitoring, and then assessing to what extent a program or intervention has or has not met its objectives, and that's evaluation. So we can see here, relating to our logical framework, the goal is out there. The Logframe objectives, that is the goal. Those are the outcomes. Those are the outputs, activities, and the inputs. You see, we're talking of the inputs, things like finances, personnel and materials available, if they are availed in time or on time and in the right quantities and in right quality, then the activities will be undertaken. No, the activities being implemented on schedule. And if they are implemented on schedule and within budget, then we shall lead to outputs. So the questions that you now monitor, like I've asked you, my students, to go out there and observe an ongoing project and construct a log frame for it. If they already have a log frame, then evaluate it. So these are some monitoring questions that you may be asking. Are the finances, personnel, and the materials available on time and in the right quantities and quality? Are activities being implemented on schedule and within budget? Are activities leading to the expected outputs? How do beneficiaries feel about the work? Are outputs leading to achievement of the outcomes? And the goal will be now measuring changes at the goal level requires a longer time frame. So you may not be able to measure that. In any case, if it's an ongoing project, it's not been finished yet, so you may not be able to do that. And look, now we say, as you ask those questions, you say, what is causing delays or deviations or the unexpected results? You have to capture that, because we need to go ahead, we need to evaluate, we need to correct. So, is there anything happening that should lead to management to modify the operations implementation plan? You're being now a consultant. Call this a mid-term evaluation of the project. Ask these questions along the logical framework. Those are monitoring questions. The more monitoring question, for example, on the goal objectives, the measure changes at this level requires longer time framework and is therefore dealt by evaluation, not monitoring. You cannot monitor what is going to happen next year. Outcomes. These are outputs leading to achievement of outcomes. Are the outputs leading to achievement of the outcomes? How do beneficiaries feel about the assistance provided if it was a project assisting, let's say, a community? Are activities leading to expected results? These are the monitoring questions that you need now to ask, and you will answer the question, are we getting there? How are we getting there? You know, what is causing the delays or unexpected results? You need to dig out that, capture that, and that should be in your report. Is there anything that should force management to modify the initiative's implementation plan? And then we go to evaluation. There are 5 key evaluation criteria: efficiency, effectiveness, relevance, sustainability, and impact. And again, our Logframe, we can use the Logframe to capture those. And the evaluation question that you're going to ask, what changes did the project bring about? This is now you're evaluating something that has already been finished. You're not monitoring. Therefore, you ask, what changes did the project bring about? If it's ongoing, you might want to ask, what changes are expected? No? Were there any unplanned or unintended changes? Yes, you plan to do one thing, but the unplanned changes come in. Those need to be captured, and that's what we call the impact. The impact can be negative or positive. We can have unplanned, bad results, or even unplanned good results. At the outcomes level, we're talking of effectiveness. The questions are, were the operations objectives achieved? Because a project has objectives. Look at the objectives. Are they being achieved? Have they been achieved? Did the outputs lead to the intended outcomes? It is possible that the outputs did not lead to the intended outcomes, and that this has to be brought out so that we get what we call lessons learned. Efficiency. Were services available on time and in the right quantities and quality? Were activities implemented on schedule and within budget? Were output delivered economically? These are the questions that you are going to pose as you evaluate the project, whether you're evaluating mid-term or when the project is finished. Now, sustainability. Are the benefits likely to be maintained for an extended period after assistance ends, after the project ends? And then the relevance. Were the initiative's objectives consistent with the beneficiaries' needs? This project, was it accepted by the beneficiaries? Was it imposed? In Kenya, as we speak now, we are confronted with the competence-based curriculum. You know, the beneficiaries were not well involved in the planning and all that. And therefore, a question like this very relevant. Were the initiative's objectives consistent with the beneficiaries' needs? And therefore, in summary, the Logframe looks like that. We have the goal, the purpose, outcomes, results, outputs, and activities. And we have the narrative or project summary with what were verifiable indicators, means of verification, and the key risks and assumptions. So in the first cell, we write our ultimate thought achievement. That achievement that is ultimately thought. Finally, what you want to achieve by this project. The purpose or the outcomes, the change that the outputs will lead to or cause. And the results, output, the tangible deliverables of the activities. And the activities, the tasks, the actions to be undertaken. I told you that this course, the degree that you are undertaking, is a project. We defined it. It has a beginning and an end. For the country, the goal of education, the ultimate thought achievement, is to improve the welfare, the wealth, the GDP of the country. So this is what we want to achieve by taking you to school. We want building the economy of the country. Now, how can we build the country, the GDP? By you, who are actually the outputs of the education system, starting to work and working well. When the outputs, who are you, the graduates, start working and work diligently and work well, then we shall get the GDP growing. And the activities are the education. What we're doing now, by you undertaking Buisa's activities, Buisa's assignments, and the other lecturers' assignments, going to class, undertaking assignments, all that activities on campus, they will lead to you, the tangible graduate, the output. And you, the tangible graduate, will get work. And then you will be employed. You'll work in a factory. You'll work in government. And that will lead to the ultimate goal, building this nation. So you can see the vertical logic. Now, here, they are now the indicators. For example, what will indicate that you have started well? It could be the number of pass units that you have passed. That could be an indicator. The outputs, the results, what will indicate? Again, the number of graduates, because here the number of pass, you're passing from year 1, year 2, transition, but the output, which is the graduate, the graduation, the number of people graduating, let's say with first class honors and all that. And what will indicate? The purpose. If you are in agriculture, the number of products you are producing, or the increase of GDP, and ultimately to that goal. So this will be the summary of a logical framework, and of course the means of verification. Where will information about achievement of each level, the goal, the purpose, the results, activity, come from? From what sources? Of course, at school we can go to the school register. For graduation, we can go to the graduation list. For performance of the in factory, we shall go to the turnover, volume of turnover in the, at the registrars. Then when we want to talk about the achievement of the, the, the economy growing, so go to the Central Bureau of Statistics, national statistics. And of course, there are always assumptions. Assuming there are no strikes for students, assuming there's no retrenchment, assuming that there's no right sizing and, all that. So that summarizes the log frame. And remember, as you do the evaluation and monitoring and evaluation, remember to capture everything in the evaluation. What are we saying? Yes, you can have the resources, the funds, the people, the know-how, the equipment, the time, all that. Going into activities, the activities level, you can undertake activities. Then you can produce output, the output, or rather the direct results. But at this level, at the output, we may, yes, get the purpose, the specific objective, the expected positive effect, but it's also possible that you get unexpected negative effect or even unexpected positive effect. So as you evaluate, you must be thorough. Is it just what was planned that was achieved, or was there anything that was achieved that had not been planned, whether negative or positive, and so on, up to the goal level? The goal that was set, was there any unexpected impact that came out of the purpose of the outcomes? Was there unexpected positive? That has to be captured. Thank you for subscribing. I hope you have subscribed. Watch out for more. In the next video, I will give you a practical example of a log frame. Thank you and have a planned day, won't you?